Welcome to Democracy-ish. I am Danielle Moodie.
And I'm Wajahat, and we will be your Valentines today, for better or
Oh,
worse.
for better or worse. There you go. Happy Valentine's Day, dear friends. What a week. I don't know what else to say. What a friggin' week. But Waj, I'm just gonna throw this picture up and let you just, welcome to the clown show.
Elect corrupt clowns, win terrifying AI images. This is where we are, folks. What did you think was going to happen? A plurality of Americans decided to re-elect a corrupt criminal vulgarian who was held liable for sexually assaulting a woman, for committing fraud, who is a criminal, who had multiple indictments against him, who incited a violent insurrection, who was born on third base but thought he woke up hitting a triple, who bankrupted casinos, who was forced to give millions of dollars for fraudulently taking people's money through a university, through a charity, through his organization, who got $290 million from the richest man on earth, Elon Musk, and basically ran to avoid going to jail. And he's the oldest person ever elected, 79 years old now, almost. You could tell he had lost a step. You could tell this guy has never basically gone on a bike in a long time, probably doesn't do some jumping jacks. And lo and behold, he said before he was elected, tariff is the most beautiful word in the English language. He said he was going to do mass deportations of 15 to 20 million people. He said he was going to bring back the Muslim ban. He said that he was going to let Israel finish the job. And lo and behold, Danielle, people didn't take him literally and seriously. He also said, hey, RFK Jr., anti-vaxxer, come on down. Kash Patel, come on down. Matt Gaetz, who loves those minors, come on down. I'm going to have retribution against my enemies. I'm going to go after the media. And people are like, nah, don't take him literally. Don't take him seriously. I'm sure you've heard this, Danielle. It won't be that bad. Well, we're 3 weeks in. It's only been 3 weeks, Danielle. Do you feel great again?
It's only been 3 weeks. I definitely have multiple gray hairs that have popped up over these 3 weeks. And not the stylish ones, but just the ones that are just like, screaming for their lives. One of the things, because we didn't get a chance, the image hadn't come out yet. And I don't have the image here, but I know everybody's seen it. And I want to ask you, that image of Donald Trump hunched over the Resolute desk, looking up at Elon Musk, an unelected bureaucrat who is giving a press event in the Oval Office. Lawrence O'Donnell on his show said that this was the weakest image of a U.S. president he has ever seen in his life.
Yeah.
And I said the same thing because Donald Trump looked so weak and feckless. And you have Elon Musk and his spawn just like taking over the Oval Office. So what did you make just of screenshot the image, which I'll never now get out of my head? What did you make of that when you saw it?
I'm so glad you brought that up because I've discussed it on a couple other shows and I forgot if we had discussed it or not. And I'm glad you reminded me. That is a defining image, Danielle. And if people haven't seen that image, it's Elon Musk with his MAGA hat, with his blazer, with his preferred one of 11 children, like the chosen son X, in the Oval Office, as Donald Trump is sitting there like this, looking tired and sheepish. And I don't know if you saw the other photo where there's 2 videos, just amazing. Elon Musk's son is picking his nose
and wiping it on the desk.
Right next to germaphobe Donald Trump. Donald Trump just has to sit there and take it. And then he goes up to Donald and says, shush your mouth. And Donald just sits there and goes, yeah. And Elon is the one standing, addressing the press, lying to the press, saying that he'll be completely transparent. And the next day we find out, oh, of course, he's not going to be financially transparent because it's all a grift and a corruption. And of course, even as he cuts or tries to cut meal on wheels, USAID, the Department of Education, NIH, to save money in this corrupt quid pro quo grift clown show, guess who's going to be getting all the toys? Elon and his buddies. And Trump, to speak about that image, though, I think it's important.
Yeah.
We keep saying President Musk, and I think we have to keep hammering it because Donald looks defeated, weak, pathetic. Just like he just doesn't seem like he's there. And now everyone's making fun of him. Remember, we used to make fun of him in the first administration, President Bannon, he really pissed him off. Now he's just kind of like, maybe I am, I'm like a reek. He's like Fredo. He's not even Luca Brasi. He's Fredo. It was sad. It was actually a sad sight.
It was, one, I can't muster sadness for Donald Trump, but I know what you mean. But it was pathetic, right? It's a pathetic sight, and we already know that people have been referring to Musk as President Musk, but it was like so in your face and clear in that moment who is in charge, and having the audacity to fucking tell the American people, this is what we voted for. We didn't vote for bureaucrats. And I'm like, mirror? Like, are you allergic to mirrors? Right? Because this is the type of bold fucking gaslighting projection that I've ever seen in my life. But there is one group who is sending a clear message to Elon Musk, and that is the people across Europe. Because his Tesla sales tumble, right, across Europe. Sales in Germany, France, and the UK slumped in January. And why is that, Waj? Well, because according to Bloomberg, Tesla sales also plunged in France and the United Kingdom by 63% and 12% respectively. The three countries are the largest markets for electric vehicles in Europe. The slump comes amid Musk's political interventions that were viewed unfavorably. In December, he endorsed a far-right political party in Germany called the Alternative for Germany, or AfD, a move that German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier described as election interference. Because again, it is not a political intervention. He's throwing his money and his weight around in order to secure manifest destiny and world domination. That's what he is doing. This is not an intervention. This is not like you or I saying, Germans, you know who you should vote for? This is the wealthiest man in the world that is telling politicians, I will primary you if you have the audacity to think for yourself.
And S. Beresford's on point. I love our audience because they're smart. And they're a step ahead of us. Yeah, we're going to talk about those armored cars in a second. This is him trying to promote his ideological vision. This is him trying to get his minions in line, both here and in Europe. This is him trying to deregulate industries, punish his critics, and get more tax cuts for the rich, get more subsidies for Tesla and SpaceX, try to get into national security, try to get in the military industrial complex, right? Get his grubby little fingers in all the cookie jars, him and his PayPal South African mafia of Peter Thiel, right, and David Sachs and everyone else. And also, folks, it isn't just money and greed. It's also their ideological agenda. Really spend some time, and maybe we'll do an episode on this, on the technocracy, on who they believe, who they follow. They don't believe in democracy, folks. They believe democracy is incompatible with capitalism. And they also believe that the technocrats, they should be in charge. And the most talented people, this is where the eugenics comes in. The most gifted people, they should be the ones in charge, and everyone else, people who look like me and Danielle, should be grateful minions, and that there should be spheres of influence, and each technocrat will be controlling these spheres of influence. You think I'm making this up? I am not. And they also are terrified of death. So they invest a lot of money in this type of future humanism where they want to be like augmented humans and AI. I'm not making this up. And so they want to live forever. just like the Pharaoh. But guess what? The Pharaoh also died. And they want control, and they want more, and more. And like I've said before on this show, and I'll say it again, listen, man, hats off to Musk buying the presidency for $290 million. If I was the richest man on earth, Danielle, that's like me taking my kids to a dollar store and spending $20.
Mm-mm. It is, and so let's take a look at what the government is doing, right? What the the U.S. Department of State is doing right now. Wow. Looks like Elon Musk is on track to win a $400 million State Department contract for armored Teslas in 2025. The contract is from the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Utilization. And there you have it highlighted, $400 million in armored Teslas. So is it me, or are these Cybertrucks exploding on their own? So did we just spend $400 million of our own tax dollars to buy drivable bombs?
Can I just say, listen, if you have a Cybertruck, God bless you. Thank you for watching our show. Every time I see one of these vehicles in my neighborhood,
anybody that has a Cybertruck ain't watching this show.
I laugh. I can't help but laugh. We are laughing at you, not with you. That is the dumbest piece of shit car in the history of dumbest piece of shit cars. The fact that you bought that car, my God. And now we're going to have armored Tesla Cybertrucks, right? And guess who owns Tesla? Elon Musk. So, folks, we could laugh, but I want you to get a little pissed off too. They tried to stop funding to NIH, the National Institute of Health, which doles out life-saving medicine, cancer research. Mm-hmm. That was seen as a waste. Meals on Wheels, right? Fresh Start to help our most vulnerable kids get nutrition, food, education. Danielle, that was seen as a waste, right? Science and research to combat climate change, they don't believe it. Waste. But $400 million for the shittiest cars on earth, no problem. Doge says, give me that money. And oh, by the way, Danielle, no conflict of interest.
So no conflict of interest. And yet, according to the New Republic, the State Department has suddenly deleted any mention of Tesla after facing massive backlash over its recent contract. So just to be clear, folks, they didn't upend the contract. All they did was remove the word Tesla and insert electric armored vehicles. So the money, our money, is still going directly to Elon Musk. And here's the thing. I put out a tweet yesterday, not a tweet because I'm not on Twitter. I put out a post on Blue Sky. And I said,
DanielleMoodie.bsky.social.
Yeah, I'm like, are we paying taxes this year? Like, I really want Americans to really think about this very clearly. Are we paying taxes this year? And the reason why I ask is because I'm not sure where to send it. Do we send it to Tesla headquarters? Do we send it to SpaceX? Do we send it to one of Elon Musk's houses? Like, where is it going? Because we definitely know that the things that we thought, right, that we were paying taxes for, like, oh, I don't know, paying into Social Security, paying into Department of Education, paying into the EPA, paying into infrastructure, the Department of Transportation, all of the things that we thought we were receiving as benefits by virtue of being citizens of these United States. Oh, I don't know, the U.S. Postal Service. All of these things are being gutted. So explain to me, Waj, what the fuck are we paying taxes for? We're not. We're actually just tithing to the Church of Musk. We are actually just part of the Musk world domination fiefdom. And we just pay for the ability to breathe his air until he figures out a way to monetize that. And then we're all walking around with oxygen tanks on our back that say SpaceX.
You joke, but if they could find a way to privatize oxygen and air, they would. Really,
they will.
They're privatizing prisons. They want to privatize weather reports, folks. I'm not making this up.
They've already privatized water.
They're privatizing water, roads. They really, I mean, when it comes to privatizing weather information, I'm not making this up. They want to privatize weather information. They want our taxes pay for that, right? You know, so like you basically know when there's a hurricane or a tornado or you might die. Yeah, they want that privatized. If they could privatize the air, they would. They want everything for themselves. Is that scene from There Will Be Blood with Daniel Day-Lewis? It's a great movie where he says, "I drink your milkshake," right? I drink all of it. I take my straw and I put it in and I drink all your milkshake. If you haven't seen the movie or that clip, watch it. Great movie, great performance. They want it all. And once all is gone, they want more, Danielle,
Yep.
right? More,
Yep.
more, more.
Yep.
The appetite is insatiable. They have all the money in the world. You know what they want? Power. After they have all the power, what do they want? What they'll never get is your respect, your
Nope.
obedience, and coolness. He will never be cool. He will never be loved, no matter how much money he has. And there's one thing you could take solace in. There was a report, I don't know if you saw last year, for whatever dumbass reason, Chappelle brought Musk like 2 years ago on in the Bay Area on stage, and Musk thought he would get like an
Oh, but he
applause.
got booed.
He got booed, and apparently what people said is that unnerved him so much that he had to hide in like a room because he thought he'd come out and be loved. And that's the thing that these people can't get, right? They want, they're those dorks, Danielle, who never got over the fact that the high school cheerleader never wanted to date them. And many of us, you know, we grew up, we got more confident, you know, we got our voice, we got over it, we married the high school varsity cheerleader. Thank you. Who's also a brilliant doctor. But these folks, you know, even though they've got everything, they don't have that self-love and self-respect. And that's why they're also more dangerous, Danielle, because it's never enough.
It's never enough. And I think, I was trying to find a post that I saw earlier this week on Instagram, and it said something to the effect of, imagine being the wealthiest person in the world and that not being enough and being absolutely spiritually bankrupt.
Spiritually
And I think
bankrupt.
and I think that that is something that we honestly need to sit with and really understand, that there are so many ways to recognize and think about wealth. And when you look at the money, right, the stuff that these people have, the amount of ungodly money, and you recognize that the wealthiest person in the world is ensuring that the poorest people in the world can't eat, can't access medicine,
Mm,
can't like care for themselves or their families, can't build homes. Like everything is about building a block, building an obstacle, burning a bridge. And you realize that all of these men, right, largely white, cis, hetero men that are in power, are spiritually and morally bankrupt.
that's right.
That they are the nothing from from the never-ending story that just gobbles and gobbles and gobbles, never to be satiated, right? And it goes back to what I say every single week, that the reason it's not that you can't feed the poor, it's that you cannot satisfy the rich.
Mm,
That is the situation. That's what America voted for
mm.
in this past election, right? It is to say, here, you insatiable beasts that can't be tamed, that are completely out of control. Here, I'm giving you my vote, my last vote, right? Which is what Donald Trump said, in hopes that I'm just waiting with my umbrella, dear Waj, for the trickle down. I'm just cupping my hands. Please,
Please, sir,
sir, can I have
please.
some trickle down? And it never fucking arrives. It is just a mirage that people have been looking at. These folks are so vapid and they are just bankrupt in so many ways that are absolutely important. They are lacking.
That was an exquisite Danielle sermon rant, especially for the throwback to the classic 1984 movie Never Ending Story. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it. Traumatized me as a kid. I saw it like 40 times. To face the nothing, we need to be Atreus and get on our magic steeds and do the best that we can. And by the way, that movie was dark, folks. Never Ending Story actually is a fantastic movie for us to watch right now, because as the nothing gobbles everything up, don't worry, I won't give you spoilers in the movie. that movie as a kids movie is dark. There's loss, there's darkness, there's pain. And that's what we're going through right now. Like literally Atreyu has to trudge through mud, through quicksand. He loses his horse, but he still gets out there and there's still hope in the end, right? Because he has to name the story, and he is the one who gets to, the kid and the bullied kid is the one who is able to still write the story, name the story, and still have hope. I'm getting a little bit deep into this, but don't worry, it's you got me in a never-ending story, so I had to bring it out. But it's one of those situations where you mentioned that as they're satiating their insatiable appetite, look at what they're cutting. And we came out with yesterday that we found out the GOP's budget proposal, folks. And as this is happening, this is what they're going to cut. And before Danielle shows you the image, Danielle and I have talked about this before. We just muse. Like, Danielle, what would you do if you had $400 million? And then Danielle asked me one time, and I think Danielle one time, you're like, oh, I'll pay off my debts, and then I'll take care of my family. I'll go on vacation. Then, I don't know, I'll just help people. And I said the same thing. I said, I'll pay off my debts, maybe put some aside for my kids because college will cost like $6 million. And then, I don't know, like, I don't need that much money. We'll just, I don't know, help the community. This is what Republicans will do.
So here's where we are with the Republicans' budget. And I honestly, again, I do not know how Republicans are able to lie and be believed as if they are a party of family values, as if they are a party of anything other than adoration and admiration for the rich, right? Here is their budget. That this is all the waste that they're looking for, Waj. We'll cut 1.5 trillion, not billion, not million, but trillion from Social Security. So I went on this rant yesterday on the Danielle Moodie show, and I'll give you just a little bit of it right now, which is the fact that the greatest thing that Republicans were able to convince Americans of is to hate entitlements, quote unquote, right? To hate the social safety net. Folks, you work, right? You go to work. You do not receive 100% of the pay that you deserve. Why? Because a percentage of it is put aside for Social Security, put aside for taxes, put aside for these things. And so when you hit 65, you're able to what? Get some of the money that you have been paying into the system back so that you are not elderly and destitute. That was the point, is that you, right, are working. It is your fucking money that you are then receiving back in turn that the government is holding for you until you reach 65. Now, they are turning around and saying, oh, no, all of that money that you've been paying in for the last 30, 40, 50 years of your working life, that's just, again, send it directly to fucking Tesla, send it to SpaceX, send it to Meta, send it to Amazon, send it wherever. But you know where it's not going? Back to fucking you. So on top of that, raising Medicare costs and cuts caps on pharma fees, cuts Medicaid, ACA and Obamacare, and the children's and children's health insurance. $4.5 trillion over 10 years. Creates, get this, folks, where did all the money go? Creates 5.5 trillion in tax cuts for the rich and corporations, while also eliminating all clean energy tax incentives and raising Social Security, which you won't fucking get, to 69.
But Danielle, it will trickle down. It'll trickle down. The people who are the job creators, you need to reward them and their brilliance. And if you give them more money, then, and if you remove the guardrails through deregulation, you'll allow them to be more efficient and more effective, and they can come in and break stuff. And brilliant people, geniuses like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel then can use their big giant brains and create new AI. Oh, that will take away American jobs. Yes, my bad. It's all a grift. You elect clowns, you're going to get a circus. And the fact that Republicans with a straight face openly admitted this yesterday, the hoods are off. They have the power. They have the Supreme Court, they have the presidency, they have the House, they have the Senate. But there's one thing I will say, Danielle, is they're no longer afraid of overreach. And, you know, the fall cometh, but pride cometh before the fall, and the arrogance. And I do feel, Danielle, and I could be wrong, and this could be me being hopeful, is they're overplaying their hand. And when it comes to Social Security and the numbers that you just showed, folks, this has been the Republican plan since Reagan. This is nothing new. They have tried for 40 plus years. Each and every single time, Danielle, they've come close to doing this, especially Social Security. Guess what? Americans, including Republicans, say, F you, mother effers, and they punish them, right? So the problem here, folks, is they have all the power. They're authoritarian. They don't care. They will get this done. When they get this done, Danielle, though, how do you think Americans will respond? Because we're a country of guns. We've got 400 million guns. And Luigi, who allegedly targeted and killed the United Healthcare CEO, yes, that insurance company that denied 31% of claims using an AI algorithm, Danielle, a majority of Americans say that Luigi is a hero. So what do you think is going to happen?
You know, all I got to say to those folks, watch your backs. Watch your backs. Because you know what? When there's nothing left to eat, what will the people eat? They will eat the rich. When you have nothing to lose, right? Because you literally have nothing. Right? When now you are working and you are receiving pennies on a dollar, because guess what? The US dollar won't go as far. Guess what? Everything is being cut that allowed you, right, to be able to buoy yourself and sustain yourself and your family. And now you are living inside of manufactured chaos and scarcity. What the fuck do you think is going to happen? You think that these people would learn, right, from history? But there is not a place in which you squeeze and squeeze and squeeze the little people, and that it doesn't result in what? Revolution. That it doesn't result in what? In violence. So keep playing the game. Keep playing the game. Because we may not see it in this particular moment, but trust and believe it will happen.
And you know, historically, folks, there was an article that tracked this historically. It's not just the United States of America. It's not just France. Wherever there is massive income inequality, violence rises up, right? And when Danielle's saying eat the rich, they're going to go after the rich. I know it's not fair. I don't condone vigilante violence, but when you got nothing to lose, people need a target for their rage. And that's where you get Luigi's and United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson getting gunned down. And these people believe that they can get away with it, that they could take away your Social Security and you'll sit there and take it. They'll take away your Medicare, you'll sit there and take it. They'll take away your Medicaid, you'll sit there and take it. They'll take away your public education, you'll sit there and take it. They're going to grift openly and give $400 million to these stupid Cybertrucks. You're going to sit there and take it. What are you going to do? You're nothing. You're just a DEI. That's what you are. You're a woke nothing liberal. You're going to sit there and take it. There's nothing you could do because I'm Donald Trump, and now I've got MAGA, and I've got Elon Musk, and I've got Fox News, and I've got my red shirts. What are you going to do? I think they're effing around. I think they're going to find out in a big way. And the way they're going to find out also, and the way a lot of Trump voters are going to find out, is through death. Not because, God forbid, of vigilante violence. They will literally die for white supremacy. And not only are they die for white supremacy, because they worship the golden calf that is Donald Trump. As you know, with cults oftentimes demand sacrifices. The leader oftentimes wants tributes. One of the tributes, Danielle, and I know this is going to sound dark, is going to be children. They're going to be forced to sacrifice their children. And if you don't believe me,
Wow.
let me introduce you to RFK, our new Director of Health and Human Services. Please tell us more about RFK, who's going to make us die again.
I mean, there has been said that every single one of Donald Trump's cabinet picks, right, was scarier than the last, more dangerous than the last. But I will be honest with you that there is no one that is more dangerous to the collective than RFK Jr. as the Secretary of Health and Human Services. This is a post, right, that said from Mehdi Hassan, who leads up Zateo. In normal times, just one of these things would have led to a bipartisan disqualification of RFK Jr. for the job of HHS Secretary. But it's America in 2025. So anything goes, nothing matters, and you can get away with the most outrageous lies and conspiracies. Sheesh. Here are the things that RFK Jr. has said. He's claimed vaccines cause autism, supported a 15-week abortion ban, called the COVID shot a, quote, crime against humanity, claimed 5G and Wi-Fi causes brain damage, claimed pesticides make people trans, claimed Spanish flu came from vaccine research, compared COVID policies with Nazi testing programs, raised money off of anti-vaccine propaganda films, claimed antidepressants cause school shootings, left a dead deer in Central Park, claimed vaccines can cause rare childhood cancers, accused by his cousin of putting baby chickens and mice in a blender to feed his hawks. This is who is in charge of public health now.
In charge of...
You might as well just drink bleach, because I think it'll be quicker than whatever he's going to be cooking up, right, at this point.
You know what? I agree with you. You know, there's so many picks that are troubling and worrisome. Kash Patel, who unfortunately is going to be the head of our FBI. Pete Hegseth, the least qualified man on earth, who pretty much almost like shattered world peace by being an F up with the comments that he made about Ukraine, Secretary of Defense. Former Real World star Sean Duffy, head of transportation. Donald Trump. Tulsi Gabbard, folks, congratulations. Russia's girlfriend, the word that they gave in Russia for her, not me, as the director of national intelligence. Out of all of those folks, the one that terrifies me the most is this one. Because this is a man, you know, the Secretary of HHS, folks, he looks over Medicare, Medicaid, NIH, CDC. And by the way, in his confirmation hearing, he couldn't tell the difference between Medicare and Medicaid. He effed that up too. This is a man who has no medical qualifications whatsoever. This is a man who has a brain worm. This is a man whose first wife killed herself. Apparently, you know, there were several problems, but what really did it was she read his diary, in which he extensively detailed the sexual escapades that he had in multiple affairs. This is a man who Caroline Kennedy called a predator. This is the man who now is the director of our Health and Human Services, as the United States of America, wait for it, just announced that we will no longer be part of the World Health Organization. And what's happening, Danielle, as of this week, I feel like God is being unsubtle right now. As this was announced the same day, measles outbreak in Texas.
Boom.
Oh, there you go.
At least 22 children and 2 adults infected in Texas measles outbreak. 9 of those infected were hospitalized, and more cases are likely. Health authorities said U.S. vaccination rates for measles are falling. I wonder why they're falling, Waj. Could it be that MAGA over the last fucking 5 years, because of COVID, have created large conspiracy theories where people have decided that science is now out to kill them, and so are deciding not to get their kids vaccinated. And I just want folks to understand that RFK Jr. does not believe in vaccinations, and it
Nope.
is quite possible that he bans all vaccines from happening inside of the United States, not even allowing it to be a choice, but to ban it, which means, and I want to thank Lovey I.J. Jones, commentator, writer, author, New York Times bestselling author, who put up on Threads that, let me tell you how RFK Jr., as Secretary of Health and Human Service, is going to now fuck with your travel, because if they decide to ban all vaccinations, where do you think you're traveling to? Because guess who is not going to allow Americans into their countries to spread disease? Oh, I don't know. All of Europe, Asia, right? Other industrialized areas and countries who are going to be like, we don't want you fucking like disease ridden and stupid people coming to our countries. So now you're going to be blocked. And if you think that that can't happen, folks, understand that the United States blocks entry to various countries all the time for outbreaks that they have. And on top of this, because it isn't just measles that this is happening to, but I want to say that it's 24 cases so far that they've detected in Gaines County, Texas. And people are being warned that additional cases are likely and they're highly infectious.
Yep.
And it goes on to say that U.S. vaccination rates for measles have fallen in recent years and continue to decrease.
Yep.
But we won't know any of that because guess who's not giving us any more information? The Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Experts say measles outbreaks in recent years are linked to an increase in the number of parents seeking exemptions from childhood vaccinations following political backlash to the coronavirus restrictions and rampant misinformation about vaccine safety. Folks, not only is measles back, so is tuberculosis, which is spreading around Kansas, which has a high historic, as they're saying, outbreak right now. But again, you're not going to receive any of that information because the CDC under Donald Trump is no longer providing that information. Do you know who is, though, in the event that you'd like to stay up to date? The American Medical Association on their YouTube is putting out videos so that people can have some insight, right? As well as Canada is also putting out information. And because we're close neighbors, also something to pay attention to, because they're certainly going to pay attention to what is happening with their sick, twisted neighbors below.
You know, real quick to make this a point for everyone, and in all seriousness, you now have to find your own information, find information you can trust, go to your local doctors, build a relationship with healthcare professionals that you could trust, because literally, as Danielle just laid that out really well, thank you so much, Danielle, it's going to get far worse. The CDC used to get information from the World Health Organization, its database. We don't have that. We're flying blind. Influenza cases are up. There's a nasty flu going around. As Danielle said, in addition to measles becoming great again and TB, we also have the bird flu. COVID has not disappeared. COVID is still harming people. And these folks are going to privatize information. And now you won't know who to trust anymore, folks. This is what they're doing. They're literally going to kill us. So if you haven't gotten yourself vaccinated, please get yourself vaccinated. And like I said before, the tribute, the child that's going to get killed, children vaccination rates in the past 5 years, Danielle, gone down.
Yep.
So our kids, they're sacrificing our kids for the cult.
I mean, it's just, folks, and it's a lot. And I know, before, just as we switch gears, to just talk briefly about Hegseth and what he did. And I know you mentioned it, Waj, but I want us to dig into it a little more. Public health is so incredibly important. Having people who are studying, reporting on, and telling us and alerting us to how to stay safe
Mm,
is what distinguishes the United States, or what did distinguish us from underdeveloped nations that did not have the infrastructure,
mm.
right, in order to create these types of departments. These are things that happened in the 20th century. When we talk about this administration rolling back the 20th century, we're not just talking about rights, right, which are extraordinarily important, like abortion, affirmative action, the right to vote, etc. We're also talking about the systems and infrastructure that have been put in place to keep us healthy and safe are now gone.
Yep.
So when we say that America is going to become an untenable place to live in, this is what we are talking about. You will not even know where there is an outbreak and how to keep yourself safe because there's no information. And it's honestly, this is the thing that I find the most extraordinary about the United States and their decision to elect a circus and think that by virtue of that, you're not going to be played, right? Like everyone is just like, I'm just going to sit around and eat popcorn for the next 4 years as all of this unfolds. You may be dead. Like, and I'm not like, I laugh and I make a joke, but I'm like, I'm fucking serious.
You might
Right?
die, folks. It'll be
Like
fine.
this is real shit. You have
Or
a
your
person
kid.
that is now in charge of our water flow and our food that like is telling people to drink raw milk that makes them sick, telling people not to get vaccinations, and literally you are going to see a resurgence of 19th century fucking diseases
No,
in
we
this
are. We
country.
are, Danielle. We're seeing it based on exactly what you said. People are drinking raw milk. Bird flu has now spread to humans in all these unvaccinated places in Kansas and Texas. Have you noticed, folks, a trend? You see a spike in measles. Polio used to kill people, which is why Mitch McConnell, one of the great villains of the 20th century, was the only Republican to vote against RFK Jr. because, wait for it, folks, he had polio and the vaccine saved his life. And he said, I don't want to relitigate science. Well, mother effer, you helped create this monster that has now escaped the lab. And now we have RFK as the secretary of HHS. Kash Patel is going to be the head of FBI. A friggin' Russian stooge, Tulsi Gabbard, as the head of DNI. Mother effing President Elon Musk, Mr. Ketamine, the richest man on earth, who bought the friggin' presidency for 290 million. Even that's offensive to me. At least buy my country for like, I don't know, $1 billion. He bought it for 290 million. What? How cheap are we? You know, have some dignity, America. Sell yourself for 2 trillion. No, 290 million. And we have Pete Hegseth. We have to mention this with Pete Hegseth because this mother effer, Pete Hegseth, when there was an airplane collision right here 20 minutes away from me. Remember that? A couple of weeks ago?
Yep.
20 years, there was nothing this bad. Black Hawk collides with a jet while there was no head of FAA. Thank you, Elon Musk. No head of TSA. Thank you, Donald Trump. Hiring fees on air traffic controllers. Thank you, Donald Trump. 70 people were killed. Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, 04 rank. Lloyd Austin was 010 rank. This mother effer is a Fox News host. Lloyd Austin, a black man, or last Secretary of Defense, was what? 4-star general. All right. This guy came out and said, we're going to end DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're only going to have the best and brightest in all positions. And this mother effer said what, Danielle? Can you please tell us what he walked back yesterday?
So here, breaking. Secretary of Defense walks back his statement yesterday that a negotiated settlement is not likely to end with Ukraine in NATO. Quote,
wow.
These negotiations are led by Donald Trump. Everything is on the table. In his conversations with Putin and Zelensky, what he decides to allow or not allow is at the purview of the leader of the free world, President Trump. So I'm not going to stand at this podium and declare what Trump will do or won't do, what will be or will be out, what concessions will be made or what concessions are out. And so, you know, what this was just basically said, this was a huge fuck up by Hegseth. There's
Huge.
no walking back his initial comments that Ukraine won't join NATO or gain back all the territory lost since 2014. He wrote Putin a big check that has already been cashed. Maybe don't make an unqualified Fox News host Secretary of Defense.
Translation, he effed up, refused to own the F up, gave Vladimir Putin anything and everything they wanted. They popped vodka and champagne. I don't drink, but I'm guessing that's what they did. And then, I don't know if you saw this clip from yesterday, Donald Trump in the Oval Office said, well, Russia lost a lot of people, and Russia, lost people when they tried to take the land. So I think Russia should just stay there. Which means if Canada decided to send a bunch of Mounties and illegally occupy Buffalo, and they lost a lot of troops, and they were there for a couple of years, by Donald Trump's own logic, Danielle, Canada should be able to occupy Buffalo, just like Russia, according to him, should be able to occupy parts of Ukraine.
Waj, please stop using sense. You know that it doesn't work here, right? Like, Americans are allergic to sense. And that's how we ended up here. So speaking of things that I'm allergic to, which is the current mayor of this city that I live in, and speaking of just quid pro quos and, how things work these days, how the Justice Department helped sink its own case against Eric Adams. A top Trump appointee guided Mr. Adams' legal team as they crafted an argument for dismissing corruption charges against, and I'll help them out here, the most corrupt mayor of America's largest city. And so on Monday, the acting number 2 official at the Justice Department sent a memo ordering prosecutors to dismiss the charges against the mayor. Because if you don't know, he's been down in Mar-a-Lago tap dancing for Donald Trump, giving him anything and everything that he wants out of New York City in order to save his own fucking ass. By Thursday, the acting U.S. attorney in Manhattan, Danielle Sassoon, had resigned in protest over what she described as a quid pro quo between the Trump administration and the mayor of New York City. 5 officials overseeing the Justice Department's Public Integrity Unit in Washington stepped down soon after. Because why do you need a Department of Integrity when you have none?
It's the quid pro quo administration, naked, shameless, and open. Eric Adams literally flew down to Mar-a-Lago, bent the knee, said, Donald, help me out. They're coming after me for being corrupt as F, for allegedly receiving all these, bribes and gifts from foreign nations. Turkish Airlines, he was their Turkish delight. What do you want? And as we know, as we predicted on this show, and as was revealed yesterday, the quid pro quo was, okay, I'll dangle this. If you behave and you do good, the Justice Department won't come after you. But listen, they might, unless you do what I tell you to do. What do you want me to do, Donald? I want you to open up New York City to ICE. And what was revealed yesterday? Rikers Island will be open up to ICE agents. Quid pro quo.
Y'all, you can't make this shit up. Like Waj made up that Italian mafia accent, but it is like,
what are you gonna do for me? What are you gonna do for me, Eric?
Huh? Speaking of doing other things too, as we round out the fuckery on today's democracy-ish, there is nothing that MAGA is better at than rewriting history, right? And to the point made here, integrity is woke. So we know that it will be eliminated. So here we have 2 versions of this current page that provides the history and background of Stonewall. Stonewall is said to be the site where the first riots against police for their abuse of LGBTQ plus people happened in, I want to say, 1969. It is considered the birth of the LGBTQ rights movement. Black trans women, Marsha P. Johnson, is who threw the first stone at police to gather around the community that had been being brutalized and harmed. And Marsha P. Johnson, Black trans woman, right? Who has just in the last few years really been getting their just due. And it is always the most vulnerable of the vulnerable Black trans woman and people that are always out there pushing the hardest and yelling the loudest. So look at this, where now you see the top seems to be the same. But then you look at the version on the left-hand side that says before the 1960s, almost everything about living openly as lesbian, gay, bisexual, something's missing. Something's missing here. Was illegal. Looks like they may have forgotten the letter T, or an entire community of people in this new write-up where they got rid of transgender folks. Look to the right. It reads, before the 1960s, almost everything about living openly as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer plus person was illegal. So this is what propaganda looks like. This is what it looks like to erase whole people, whole communities, and whole experiences. Because you and I know about LGBTQ, but they are hoping that anyone coming behind us, any young people, will have no idea. It's the reason why you're getting rid of Black history, Asian history, Latino history, women's history, because the whole idea is that education has always been on the front line for progress in this country. And if you can convince people that the only people that matter, that have ever offered anything in this country, are only white, straight, cis men, then that's what they internalize. But if they see other things, guess what? They believe they have power too.
And you know what? This came out yesterday. I saw this photo, and we shared it in the doc, and I was like, wait, but it seems like, and I read it, and I'm like, oh, there you go. They scrubbed it out. The nothing came and ate it up. It ate the T and it ate the Q, just like fascists do. And the LGB, the folks who don't know their history, they're like, oh, they won't come after me. They were just going after the T and the Q. We'll be okay. And then next year, the B will be scrubbed. And then the L and the G will say, well, I'm an OG. I've been around for a while. They know me. I'm okay. I've got power. And then they'll get after the G. And then the L's will be like, straight men like me. They watch L-Born. They like the L word. That was a hit show. They won't come after me. And then the L will be erased. And then they'll go after the undocumented and the Muslims and the writers. The nothing in the never-ending story took everything until there was nothing left. It was an insatiable appetite. That's how fascists operate. And just yesterday, when we got news of them blatantly and shamelessly, literally rewriting history and erasing an entire group of people, Linda McMahon, yes, the wife of Vince McMahon, yes, the couple behind WWE, yes, the multi-millionaires who is going to be most likely our next Secretary of Education, even though she wants to destroy the Department of Education, when she was asked openly, well, under this guise of attacking wokeness and diversity, equity, and inclusion, would you be open to defunding schools? 90% of our kids are taught in public schools, folks. Would you be open to defunding schools that teach Black history? Folks, this is February. This is Black History Month. And you know what she said? You would think she would lie and say, of course not. No. She said,
I'll look into it.
They're going to come after everyone and everything, folks. And before we get to end on some good news, there is pushback. I really like the fact that Daniel brought up Neverending Story. I love 80s and 90s pop culture references. The end of that movie, spoiler alert, the kid who
Spoiler alert, it's from 1984.
Yeah,
so if you haven't seen it,
if you haven't seen it, your parents have failed you. I don't know what else to say.
Correct.
But the whole movie, right, is about this kid who's being bullied, and he finds solace in books and stories. And it's a rainy day, and this guy literally wants to get back home, and he's chased by his bullies, and he finds solace in a bookstore, and he goes upstairs, and there's rain, and he has to wait out the rain, and he finds a book, and he reads this book about the nothing that's devouring this amazing, diverse universe. And there's character Atreyu who's trying his best. He's on a mission, and he finally finds the princess at the end, and she says, everything is gone. Everything is gone. I need you to give me a name. And the kid realizes she's talking to him, the kid who's reading the story, the kid who thought he had no power, the kid who was bullied. And he's the one who uses his voice to continue the story and give it a name. The power of storytelling, the power of speaking out, the power of being witness, the power of being a protagonist. It's all in there in the Neverending Story. And it's all, I'm an English major, folks. This is how I think. It's all in there right now as they're telling you to obey in advance, shut your mouth, say nothing, and watch the undesirables get erased. But you'll be next, folks.
You'll be next. And, we try really hard to end this show on good notes. Because, look, what is happening right now, friends, is like drinking acid out of a fire hose on a regular basis. And it's hard. And we tell you, take breaks so that you don't have breakdowns, but more importantly, lean into community and figure out what you can do. If it is volunteering at a food bank, if it is volunteering at your local public school and reading banned books to children, if it is being able to provide resources, if it's hosting a dinner and gathering, this is the moment where we need to lean into each other and not away, because what they want to do is capitalize on our fear, right? And so that they can divide us more and that we are left fighting over the crumbs that they leave out. But if we connect with one another, if we look in towards one another from now on and build strong networks in real life and online, then they do not win. So one bit of good news, right? And for those of you that also watch the Danielle Moodie show, we talked about this as well. That, of course, this administration has gone after transgender people, up and down. And so finally, a judge here, Judge Herson, has temporarily stopped Trump's plan to end funds for trans youth health providers. 6 transgender individuals, all younger than 19, sued administration over executive orders targeting hospitals that offer transition treatments to young people. And this is what the judge said. This is a population with an extremely higher rate for suicide, poverty, unemployment, drug addiction. Herson said during the hearing, abruptly stopping their health treatments, he said, would be, quote, horribly dangerous for anyone, for any care, but particularly for this extremely vulnerable population. So right now, right, trans people can, I guess, maybe let out a little air, but continue to hold their breath, because this case will make it up to the Supreme Court. There is another case that is at the Supreme Court right now that is being brought by ACLU and is being fought by an openly trans man, Chase Strangio, that they will decide. And we already know what this 6-3 court is going to do. But the fact is, you cannot deny the truth, which is that this community, the trans community, has the highest rate for suicide, poverty, unemployment, and drug addiction. And what denying treatment, life-saving treatment will do is ensuring certain death.
Yep. 1% of the population, kids, trans kids, the most marginalized. If you've noticed, bullies always go after the lowest hanging fruit, if you will, or the most marginalized populations. In 2016, they went after undocumented and Muslims. They realized that trans are the boogie people that people really are afraid of. So they're going after trans. It's not going to end. As we mentioned, as we tried to connect the dots on the show, they're going after trans. They're going after LGBTQ, all of it. They're going after women. They're going after teachers. They're going after judges. They're going after Black history. They're going after Asian history. They're going after anyone and everyone who doesn't bend the knee. The nothing eats everything that stands in its way. And someone just asked, where is Atreyu? Atreyu being the hero of Neverending Story. It's a very important, I'm glad you asked that. And I want to end on this.
Yes.
Atreyu isn't coming. Yep. The Avengers aren't coming.
Yep.
You cannot outsource this to anyone. Fascism thrives when you outsource your problems and assume that a magical superhero will come in and save the day. That's what strongmen say. I'm the superhero. Believe in me. I'll defend you. It's the people. It's the ordinary people, the moms and the pops and the folks who are at home and the people trying to make an honest living. When they rise, one by one, voice by voice, little by little, that's when you get a collective, and that's when fascism falls. There is more of us than there are of them, but you need to stand up. You need to speak up. You need to give a voice. You need to be the protagonist in your narrative, either as a parent, teacher, worker, organizer. Do what you can. But what we should never do is stay silent and never bend the knee.
Thank you, folks, for listening to Democracy-ish. I just want to give a shout out. Thank you so much to those that have given donations today. As we say all the time, we do this work because we care, because we believe that we have a voice to share important, truthful messaging. And we would not be able to do this without your donations, without you all showing up, without you liking, commenting, and subscribing to this show, clicking the little bell so that you get alerted all the time so you never miss an episode.
Danielle, do you have 15K yet or no?
No, but we're working our way up, and I'd like to hit 15K by next week. So please do
what are you at right now?
And subscribe. Let's see. I think I'm at 14.3 is where I was. Yes, I am at 14,348 followers. Would love to hit 15,000. We have been on a roll, folks. So please do like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And share it as soon as it goes up. Share the episode, share the channel. Let's continue to build the community that we need and that we all deserve. So thank you to those that donated. Yeah, please.
Because we stream on multiple platforms, we started with 300 people watching us, then it went to 500. We were really grateful. Then it was 700. And now, as of right now, we have 1,500 people watching us. We do not take it for granted, those people who continue. There's a lot of folks, we see you, we highlight you, I read the comments, we put it up. Daniel reads the comments. You've been loyal and you brought on other folks. So thank you so much. We're building this up from the grassroots. It's independent media. We are fueled by inshallah money, but we've been in it. And for all the help, the likes, the subscribes, the $1, the $2, we got $100 tip today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Spring. Thank you.
Danielle's going to get gas, and I'm going to get gas for a week with that money. It all goes a long way. And like Danielle said, just the way the algorithms work, the likes, the subscribes, and the shares, it goes a long way. And we just had our biggest show, I was telling Danielle, on Monday with Kendrick Lamar, that show we did on the Super Bowl. Like, for us, it was gangbuster numbers. So
gangbuster numbers, boy.
It all goes a long way, folks. So we just want to say that we really appreciate you on Valentine's Day today. Find someone. If you have a loved one, love them back. If not, it's okay. I was single once. It was rough. I had a near-death experience, and then 1 year later, I was married, and I'm still married. It happens. So for those I know, on Valentine's Day, it could be a great day for some people, a sad day for some folks. I get it. The story is still being written, folks. The story is still being written.
Yes, and
Have
you
faith.
can, you know what? I'm a big fan of self-love. I'm a big fan of buying yourself flowers, getting yourself that sweet treat if that is your thing. If you have your pets, your plants, I send out happy Valentine's to my friends, my family. It is not just romantic love. It is the
That's
love
right.
that we have for each other, the love that we have for community, for ourselves, for our fur and plant babies. So, happy Valentine's Day to all of you. Thank you for listening to Democracy Ish. I'm Danielle Moodie.
And I am Wajahat Ali, doing my best Atreyu impression.
And we will be back on Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern. So do join us there. Thank you all so much. I won't say we'll be back if we have a country left, because y'all, piece by piece, it's being destroyed. Just know we will be back on Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Appreciate you.